Unit 7. Listening, Part 4. Exercise 1.
Martin Williams, a zookeeper from Harland Zoo, is here to tell us about the important work being done at the zoo. First of all, Martin, can you tell us what the most popular animal at the zoo is?
People love our zoo because some of the animals are free to go where they want. Obviously not animals which can be dangerous, like lions, or animals which could escape easily, like monkeys. The penguins aren't shy and they follow people around. That's why visitors come especially to see them, more than any other animal.
Unit 7. Listening, Part 4. Exam task. You will hear an interview with a man called Martin who works in a zoo.
Martin Williams, a zookeeper from Harland Zoo, is here to tell us about the important work being done at the zoo. First of all, Martin, can you tell us what the most popular animal at the zoo is?
People love our zoo because some of the animals are free to go where they want. Obviously not animals which can be dangerous, like lions, or animals which could escape easily, like monkeys. The penguins aren't shy and they follow people around. That's why visitors come especially to see them, more than any other animal.
You've worked at the zoo for 25 years. What changes have you noticed there?
When I joined Harland, it was a very successful zoo that had seen many improvements. For example, it was the only zoo in the area where a lot of rare baby animals were being born and cared for, and many of the larger animals had already been moved into bigger areas so they had space to run and play. Since then, however, I guess the main change is the greater variety of animals they've introduced, especially birds and monkeys. But it's always changing, really.
You obviously love your job, but what's the hardest thing about it?
People often want to know if I'm scared of working with such dangerous animals, but that's not something I ever worry about. Sometimes I do get a bit tired of cleaning. That's the first thing we do every morning, and it takes hours. But at the same time, it's great to be at the zoo early in the morning when there's no one else around.
Some people say zoos are cruel because the animals are bored.
Well, actually, these days, most zoos make a huge effort to keep the animals busy. So, for example, instead of giving them one big meal every day, what we do is put small amounts of food in different places, so they actually have to find it. And we keep hiding it in different places, so they never know where it'll be.
And I believe you only work with gorillas at the moment. Is that because they're your favourite animals?
Well, I do love gorillas, but that's not the reason. They're very intelligent, and they like to form a relationship with the zookeepers. So they don't want to see different people every day. They're fantastic. I've learned so much in the last 5 years.
Have you learned anything surprising about them?
Well, I already knew that gorillas were sociable and lived in big family groups, but I had thought they would always be fighting amongst themselves. After all, they are big and strong and can be quite scary. In fact, most of the time, the opposite is true. They're really quite calm and gentle. I hadn't expected that at all. They're lovely animals, always sharing things with each other.
So tell us, what's
Unit 7. Grammar. Exercise 3.
Some visitors to City Zoo had a nasty shock yesterday when they came face to face with an adult male tiger. The tiger was found by a mother and her 2 small children yesterday afternoon. The mother, Elaine Wilson, had gone down to the lake to take a photo when she saw the tiger, who was coming out of the water. She phoned the police and within 5 minutes they arrived with a zookeeper. The tiger was soon caught and luckily hadn't attacked anyone. Zookeeper Eddie Hewson said they weren't sure how the tiger had escaped. None of the tigers at the zoo had ever escaped before. All the cage doors were locked, so they think the tiger was somehow able to jump over the fence. They also don't know exactly when the tiger escaped. The last time he was seen was at 8 a.m. and he was found at 3 p.m, so he was probably missing for at least 5 hours. The only thing they are sure about is that the tiger definitely wasn't hungry because he'd eaten a large breakfast.
Unit 7. Speaking, Part 2. Exercise 5.
I'm not sure, but I think this photo was probably taken in Thailand because I know that there are a lot of elephants there, and I think they're often washed in rivers. There is more than one person washing each elephant. Everyone's getting very wet. The men are either standing or sitting on the elephants. I think the water is probably too deep for them to stand in. The elephants look like they're having a really good time. I think it must be very hot because the men are all wearing hats and shorts.
This is a really amazing photo. I think it was taken in Antarctica because that's where penguins live, and also the sea has turned into ice, so it must be really cold. I think the men are scientists who've just arrived in Antarctica. They could be living on the ship. The men are all wearing the same jackets. I think they're made of special material for very cold conditions. The penguin is very funny. I don't think he wants the men to take his photo, but he doesn't seem afraid of them.